FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
This book from Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, Heroes Proved, is, I'm going to have to get a couple of copies of this for some folks on my Christmas list. And joining me right now, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. I was combining his title and his name. You know him from Fox News, New York Times bestselling author, hosted War Stories on Fox News, and he joins us this afternoon to talk, some political issues and his latest book, Heroes Proved. Good afternoon to you, sir.
It's great to be with you again, Dana. Thank you.
This book, I was reading about this book. I ordered my copy off Amazon, by the way, through your website. I was looking at the description of this book, and my, oh my, could this take place right now? I know it's set in 2032, but tell us a little bit about your book, because I felt like just reading about it, I felt like I was reading about headlines happening right now.
Well, when I started this book about a year and a half ago, I had no idea that it would come out right in the aftermath of a deadly terror attack that kills Americans, that there would be an administration in Washington that would lie about the attack and who the perpetrators were, that Iranian nukes are still a major threat, that Israel is under attack. All of those things that are happening right now were, kind of out of my expectation of well in the future, but here they are, right as this book is coming out. I don't certainly claim the gift of prophecy, but wow, it's awful close to the
you came awfully close to this. And this is a little bit different from your previous books that you've had, because this is, well, it's fictional, but yet again, it's like it's ripped straight from the headlines.
Well, I've got to write kind of what you know. I think it was Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, that was asked at one point, why do you write about the things you write about?
Mm-hmm.
His answer was something like, well, you've got to write about the things you know. And this is what I know. I know heroes. I've spent my whole life with heroes. My dad was a hero from World War II in Korea, and I've gone out now with young soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, Marines since I was 17, and still doing it. I just got back from Afghanistan. I wrote the acknowledgments to this book while I was in Somalia this past spring. I wrote the Publishers Weekly blurb that they put up while I was in Afghanistan here just a few weeks ago. So I get to keep company with heroes regular. It's a big advantage. I realize that. I don't have to hire a consultant to, tell me what a Predator looks like or what a Hellfire missile can do. I've been there, done that, as they say. So it's a major advantage, and it gives me the opportunity to let these stories get told about the real American heroes I keep company with. But because an awful lot of what I've done and what I do is classified, I don't want to put somebody else at risk because we're showing them on television or writing their real names in the story. So
right.
You change enough dates, times, places, and the like, and names, and you can call it a novel and publish it. So there it is.
Yeah, exactly. And this, when I just reading about this, I mean, the premise of your story is that essentially we are in 2032. We're living in a society where we are told that there exist no more terrorist threats. Iran is not posing a terror threat to us anymore with nuclear weapons. And then all of a sudden we have what is our most prominent physicist who is kidnapped. Houston faces attack, and now we're thrown into this cat and mouse game. And that's, and again, you say, well, I don't have the gift of prophecy, but when I look at essentially what we've been promised by this administration, well, Iranian nukes, they don't pose really a threat to us, and so on and so forth, and we need to engage in discussions with them, and everything that we've been through in the past several months. Like you said, you can just kind of follow along.
Well, if you look at what's happening right this second, while you and I are having this conversation, Israel is very much under attack.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something the Israelis started. This was started by the Iranians delivering Fajr 5 missiles through Egypt into Gaza that are now being fired at places like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And it's inconceivable to me, but nonetheless it's happening, that the Secretary of State of the United States of America is going to go out and pound on Israel to negotiate some kind of a ceasefire with people who won't even recognize the state of Israel. I look at what this administration is doing, and it is eerily similar to what's in this book.
Mm-hmm.
The president, in this case, is adamant that he's going to be perceived by the world as a great peacemaker. The one in this book wants anything that can help get reelected, and the awesome power that comes with the presidency. I don't want to give away the end of the story, but
Right.
I hope that the ultimate end of what's transpiring right now is as good as the end of this book. How's that?
Yes, that exactly. Well, I can't wait to read it, and and especially you discuss what's happening right now with Israel and Hamas and Egypt getting involved, and now we hear Secretary of State Clinton is heading right now to try to help broker a ceasefire agreement. Hamas says there's a ceasefire agreement. Egypt and Israel claim otherwise. Is this something that do you see this being resolved, or is this going to be like another 22-day war? What do you see happening right now?
Well, look, Israel did not start this. This was started by Hamas and the Islamic Jihad organization. I've got skin in the game with that because Islamic Jihad is the outfit that tried to kill my wife and children and sent terrorists right to our house in Great Falls, Virginia. When you look at what they've done to Israel over the course of not just the last few days, but the last few months, it's all been done at the direction of and with weapons supplied by Iran. And so the Iranians are very engaged with helping Hezbollah to the north in Lebanon. They're undermining the government in Jordan, which is becoming increasingly unstable. They have armed and equipped and trained Hamas and Islamic Jihad in the south, and now pose a threat to the United States. Ever since Benghazi, the radical Islamist websites and propaganda organs have been out there encouraging martyrs to sign up now to go out and kill Americans, because we've proven that the Americans, and this is their words, not mine, these are their propaganda organs that are monitored all over the world. The Americans will cut and run. They've been driven out of Iraq. We're driving them out of Afghanistan. We've burned their diplomatic missions, killed their ambassadors, and now is the time to sign up if you want to help drive America literally from the world stage. That's their goal. And at the same time, get the nuclear weapons that allows them to incinerate Tel Aviv.
And we've seen the Egyptian prime minister over in Gaza, right? He's been touring with the Hamas leader, and it seems as though they're over there under the appearance that they're trying to help negotiate a ceasefire. But after everything that Mohammed Morsi has said and threatening Israel, that well, if you hurt the homeland, we will attack you. Is Egypt really helping at this point?
No, and in fact, all of these missiles that are in the hands of Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza originated in Iran. They were shipped through Sudan. They made their way down the Nile, which is north, into Egypt. And the Egyptian government, such as it is, which is a Muslim Brotherhood government, has turned a blind eye to the smuggling that goes on to get this stuff across the Sinai Peninsula and into the hands of some of the most radical people on the planet. That's Hamas and Islamic Jihad. And so the Israelis, confronted with the death of numerous Israeli civilians, said, that's enough, we've had it. We can't allow this to continue. Some people are saying that this was, an event begun by the Israelis to get ready for an attack on Israel. Well, that might make sense if Israel had started it, but they didn't.
Right.
And what the Iranians are doing is they've now learned enough to overcome at least some of the advantages of the Iron Dome anti-missile system. Good news in all of that is the Israelis have learned some of the vulnerabilities. They're changing the algorithm and some of the software, some of the capabilities of Iron Dome, so that it can't be, as they say, swarmed with multiple missiles coming in at the same time, too much for it to track. They're just adding to the science of it, which they're very good at, thankfully.
Yes. And you had mentioned Benghazi earlier. The headline that came out this morning from CBS was the report that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence cut out specific references to terrorism and al-Qaeda from these talking points that Susan Rice had and others. It seems like a very I can't make heads or tails of this other than this seems like a giant cover-up.
Well, let me just make this is a little contrarian, but look at Fox News Channel and many of our colleagues in business have been out running around trying to figure out who tweaked those talking points. Now, these are talking points prepared by the same regime, meaning the Obama administration, that described the jihadi terror attack at Fort Hood, Texas, as workplace violence. So they've got a tweaking talking points, right?
Right.
Okay. Here's the really important thing that, unfortunately, we don't seem to have many members of our of Congress. We don't have many of our colleagues in the media asking. Here are the really important questions. What was and what wasn't done in the months, the weeks, the days, the hours leading up to that attack? And who didn't fulfill their responsibilities? Why? Second, what was and wasn't done during the attack? In other words, why wasn't there some kind of response? Now, the military, the Pentagon, under the Obama administration, has said there were no military assets available to save the lives and react to the attack, which everybody knows, and everybody knew instantly was a terrorist attack. Okay, if that's true, Dana, that's criminal, because I go back to the Reagan administration when Ronald Reagan took 40 minutes to make up his mind as to what he wanted to do about capturing the hijackers of the cruise ship Achille Lauro. Okay, it took 45 minutes after that to carry out the mission. We didn't have the technology then that we have today. But Ronald Reagan was the man who could make a decision, and he could get the loyalty and support of the military to carry it out. If indeed Obama issued an order to do whatever is necessary, that order had to be in writing. I know because I wrote Ronald Reagan's order that he signed to authorize the use of force to bring down that airplane and capture the terrorists. Somewhere that piece of paper exists. And I've said to several members of Congress, why don't you, members of Congress, you guys are committee chairmen in the House Armed Services Committee, the House Intelligence Committee, House Foreign Affairs Committee, subpoena all of those documents. And if Obama wants to protect them from being seen by members of Congress, he can do what he's already done in Fast and Furious, and that is exercise executive privilege. Ronald Reagan didn't do that, but these guys are likely to. Now, I just think we've misplaced the importance of what took place before, during, and after this event. And that's what we really got to know, because we've got embassies all over the world that are now vulnerable to the kind of thing that we just saw happen in Benghazi. Absolutely.
And I hope that our Republican members of Congress, too, keep the pressure on with this. And
well, I do, too. And Dana, if they don't, they're aiding and abetting this cover-up. And in fact, in most cases in Washington, it's the cover-up that's the bigger crime.
Yes.
In this case, the real crime was not doing everything they could to prevent and respond to this event. That's a bigger crime than even covering it up and tweaking the talking points.
Absolutely. OliverNorth.com, the book Heroes Proved. And you talked about how, you're used to being around heroes. Obviously here at the Dana Show, we consider you one yourself, sir. So thank you so much for your time and for everything that you have done. Can't wait to read it.
Just keep reminding folks they can get a signed copy at OliverNorth.com. The entire book tour schedule is up there, Dana. I appreciate it, and I'll get the signed copy out to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, always a pleasure, sir. Happy Thanksgiving.
And you too. Thanks.
Take care. Thank you.